Hey, pals. Welcome to WP Roundtable, episode 185. Today I'm joined by Thomas Maier, and I'm excited to talk with you. Thank you, Thomas, for joining me today.
Happy to be here.
All right. Well, Thomas is a WordPress developer based in Germany and has been doing WordPress stuff for a long time. And I've seen you all around the community, and I've been really looking forward to getting to know your story just a little bit better. So looking forward to the chat today.
Cool.
Before we dive into your background, let's touch on our quick picks of the week. This is where each of us just shares something new that we've recently come across that we find worthy of sharing. And the most recent article, which I found to have sparked some discussion and be, pretty compelling and interesting to me, was an article on the Help Scout blog called something about FaceTime, the value of FaceTime in a remote company. And this is not FaceTime, the Apple product, FaceTime as in getting face-to-face with coworkers. And I'm a part of a small distributed team, and we have had ongoing discussion about the value of getting in the same room or having video calls as opposed to asynchronous communication. I thought this article was really good. It's written by the CEO of Help Scout, and he gave very specific examples of the changes that he made and the goals he had. And I appreciated that. Not so much just a light and fluffy article about how it's nice to, be in the same room and get to know each other better and strengthen relationships, but something with real substance. So I recommend this article, and it gave us some good inspiration. And I think we're going to be working to improve in this area, as we always are. Thomas, do you have anything quick to share with us?
Yeah, I was in a conference, at a Google conference in December, and I learned about something called News Initiative. You can Google it. It's called News Consumer Insights. It's a Google project helping news websites. I see a lot of news websites coming up every other day. And I'm quite critical about this, but this project can really help them to improve their reach and their focus. I don't run a news website, but this is something I thought people could check out if they do.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to learn about that. I guess I'm tempted to ask you to explain it, but probably that's not fair to ask you to do so right now. But a Google conference, what was that you attended? Something in Germany?
No, it was in the Google European headquarters in Dublin, where they invited me as a partner, and was for other partners. And we learned a lot of things they are doing, partner programs, new projects, whatsoever. This is something I can share, but there are also things that are still in development that I'm not going to share publicly. Yeah, it was 2 days, interesting people, and it's an interesting experience, completely different. We are invited to Google conference than going to a WordCamp or going to another business conference. I'm not doing this so often, but I took the chance and was really cool. The food at those events is really good.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, that sounds like fun, and thanks for sharing that. Let's talk about your background, Thomas. I don't know the whole story, and I'm eager to learn all about it. Where I like to generally start is kind of at the earliest point where your career got started. So this is like pre-WordPress, pre-web, when you first were young and had a vision, some semblance of a plan where you thought, like, I think this is the direction that I kind of want to go.
Okay.
And you took your first step on that path. Like, talk us about that time, the vision and the first steps.
I think I've always been kind of a problem solver, and not really a long-term vision, but if there's something came up, I try to solve it. This is how I started as a developer. I have a background in humanities. I studied linguistics and history. But there are a few occasions where I want to solve certain thing. And I looked into developing with PHP, and that helped me building few tools, comparing whatsoever, storing things. And that's actually, looking back, something I've been doing for a long time in projects, doing non-governmental things, etc. pp. And then I finished my studies, and with a master degree in Central European history of the 19th century, there was not such a big market. People who wanted to hire me right away. So I got lucky to have experience in web development bits from my own projects, and started to become a freelance developer with a few side projects. And then it became a business. But I noticed when I first struggled that all the projects I did before, all the nonprofits, were actually also like being a freelancer. You're on your own, you're planning something, you have a goal. It's more or less just charging for it, and then it's similar. So it wasn't such a big step to have my own projects.
Wow. Okay. So you had done these projects without thinking too much about them being a long-term part of your career, and then later on kind of decided that that was interesting to you and worthy of pursuing further.
Yeah, yeah. And it was kind of hard with my background to think about charging for something. And there was one project that was my own, where I was struggling with, in general, like asking myself, is it a real thing? Can I be an entrepreneur whatsoever? And I actually remembered that in 6th grade in school, I was selling football or soccer soccer stickers on the schoolyard. And it was quite successful. I even noted what I sold and for how much. So I had a small inventory, bookkeeping whatsoever going on without knowing the words for it, you know. And
wow.
that, remembering this story, helped me to see, like, okay, this is possible. Don't overcomplicate things. It's working. Just do it.
I like it. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. And that served as inspiration and reassurance for you later in life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Were there other things that you did professionally outside of the web?
Not really. I did a few 2 years voluntary service. It's something popular in Germany, that when you come from school, you don't go studying for a year or right away, but you do some voluntary work. It's called voluntary work, but it's quite organized. So you have kind of an employee, you're going to an organization, help them. Could be social, could be environmental. And I was doing 2 years, one after school, one after my bachelor degree. So it was kind of professional. And not connected with the internet and programming. But after that, I made all, like, my professional career in web development.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So you've been doing that for a while now. WordPress became a part of your stack at what point?
Yeah, I started developing 2009, 2010. And I was looking around the CMS market, use something like Website Baker, I think. As a German, you touch Typo 3 at one point, which was very well my thing. I worked a while with Magento, and then, but for smaller sites, I used WordPress. And then, it kind of stuck. I found interesting clients who are willing to build interesting projects based on WordPress. And so I stuck with it. And doing that at the same time, my own projects developed. So my plugin business, my own publishing business. So yeah, I think I did freelancing until 2015. Around 2015, I finished.
Wow. Okay. That's a while. That's an education. I did about the same amount of time kind of doing the agency thing, my own small business, and found it to just be hugely educational.
Yeah.
And I learned so many things just about how the industry works, how to build websites I never would have thought of myself. solve problems that were more complicated every single time. Yeah, that was great. So you learned a lot in that process of self-employment. What happened next in 2015?
Well, it was a process. So already back in 2009, I started a website. I started a few different things as a hobby, but I started one particular website for searching words for Scrabble. So you know Scrabble probably?
Yeah, one of my
so
favorites.
7 letters, and it was really, I was sitting down with my soon-to-be wife playing Scrabble, and I had impossible letters. And I was already, since I studied linguistics, I did develop a few tools around searching for words whatsoever. So I built a small tool searching for valid German words for Scrabble from these 7 letters. And there was nothing like this existing. There are a few English websites for this kind of task existing, and none for Germany, or German in general. So I built a website and put it online, and that grew over the years. So that from this, I was making my income in 2015 then. So it slowly grew into a very large project. Where I did experiment a lot with everything, with publishing, SEO, online advertisement. And yeah, but in 2015, I had like 3-4 employees and a couple of interesting projects around this project running.
Wow. Okay. So that's exciting. What was this, downloadable software or some kind of a web application or what?
Yeah, it's a web app. So you have an input form, and you type 7 letters, and now a few options if there's a blank or if you have some kind of pattern, and then you get the answers. And it's at the end, it was not only Scrabble, it was also crossword. So it was a crossword dictionary, more or less. In Germany, you have a different kind of crosswords than in the US. Your crosswords are very open. You can have very open grids going into every direction. And in Germany, we have a very compact grid where every field has something. And this forces us to have a specific set of questions, short questions with definite answers, so not very philosophical, etc. pp. So you can have a rather fixed dictionary from these questions and answers. And that's something we built, something we updated constantly with new questions, answers, etc.
Wow. Okay. What was the business model that you based that on top of?
Online advertisement. So we put Google AdSense and similar networks on it. Did a lot of tests. So it was at the end still my main task to do the A/B tests for positioning new partners, etc. And that's when I built a tool for it as well. So when I had to give this task to a colleague who was not technical, I had to give her some kind of interface for all the code that I have already written for us. And then that's how the advanced ads plugin came to life. That I put up to WordPress.org and is now my main business after I sold the websites.
That's really cool. So you essentially, your trajectory is you started a business building websites for people, and then in that process started a business for this web application, which led to starting another business for this WordPress plugin.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Okay, so you built the web app on top of WordPress, which is why you made the plugin, right?
Yeah.
So advanced ads is now your primary project, and it's a like a freemium model. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. We have a free version on WordPress.org, which just reached 90,000 installations.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, so you launched that in what? Was it in 2015 that you released the plugin?
It could be 14. I don't remember. Yeah, 14 or 15.
Okay, great. Did you intend to monetize that plugin, or was that just a tool to help the other business succeed?
I think I definitely started quite quickly to build paid add-ons, but I waited for a short time how the plugin is going to be received on WordPress.org, because there were already plugins existing for ad management.
Yeah.
I didn't have to make a business out of it at that point, but I was looking into. Since I did ad optimization for many years, I knew that the tools out there were very limited, especially for people who need to be, well, up to date with new features. There was no solution for ads on responsive designs. Yeah, so, and that's something that we built very early for our own website, to deliver different ads based on the screen width, or no solutions for caching. Yeah, and I mean, if you have a rotating ad spot and caching enabled, then things are not rotating. That's something we solved. Yeah, things like that led me to the decision that there's another solution missing on the market. And yeah, we succeeded everyone existing at that point. So every solution that existed before advanced ads is now smaller. So we did something right.
Wow. All right. It is a fascinating space, and it makes that trajectory makes perfect sense, that you were able to build a tool that you needed, and it isn't surprising that it served the needs of others. Were you at all surprised at any point about how well the plugin was received, or how many people took advantage of it?
No, it's, you know, I'm kind of a person that when you reach something, then your expectations are, expanding, and you're looking for the next step.
Yes.
So I should more sit down more often and look back to what we already achieved, but then I'm already planning ahead and looking for the next step. So we have 90,000 installations. We are going to order pizza tomorrow, but then it's up to, like, next is 100,000, of course.
Of course. That's great. That's great. Okay, so 90,000 over 4 or 5 years. That's really good by any measure. It's great. Let's talk about some of like the challenges in getting it there. Like, was the first 10,000 the hardest, or the last 10,000 the hardest, or like which was the point where like really growing it to just like that next tier, or maybe 100,000? Maybe you feel like the next 10,000 will be the hardest yet.
I think we have a good momentum now, so that the next 10,000 is hopefully the quickest 10,000. Of course, the first 10,000 are the slowest to go there. And I think mentally the problem will be from 100,000 up, because you cannot really track it. You can only then see at one point, and by my estimation, it could be 1.5 or 2 years until you reach, at our current growth rate, 200,000 installations. So in between, there's not really an idea how many people are using your plugin based on the numbers on WordPress.org. So that will be tougher. But all in all, I would say, looking back, it's always different. So at first, when we started, we had different competitors, bigger competitors existing for many years, that were, for many people, the default choice for displaying ads. When we became more popular, there was at one point a situation when another very popular plugin was pulled from the repository by the developers. So it opened the space to a lot of new plugins that also grew very quickly. Now we have different competitors than at the beginning. And what I'm noticing is now that, especially with the freemium model, a lot of new plugins are trying to build the features you have in your pro version into their free version. to to grow quickly. And I understand, of course, WordPress.org is not a marketplace. Yeah, it's a community space. But if you consider it kind of a marketing channel, then it's destroying. It could destroy businesses. So if everyone just adds the premium features from the competitors to their free plugin, then you will reach a point where there is no premium version needed for anyone. Yeah? And that's something I see now in the last 1 or 2 years. And I don't know where it's going. I think there's still people are still willing to pay for updates, fixes, support, rather than features. And that's something I think will consist. But there's still the other thing that, you don't get copied directly, but we indeed had a competitor using our terms, our feature lists. And, you know, I'm a German. I'm not even in English. I'm a native speaker. So I invented these terms. And these guys were just copying them. And,
wow, that's remarkable.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, about the the online advertising business model and how that has changed since you started. And like, how has this affected your business? Because back in 2014, I guess, I mean, 5 years is not a ton of time, but in terms of like the web, a lot has changed. So have there been like major changes in how browsers and ad platforms and other, you know, WordPress and other things, have those changes affected your business?
We constantly have to catch up with the latest technology. So you have mobile. Yeah, a lot of traffic goes to mobile nowadays. And that's, we were the first solution offering something for this problem. So when we had our features displaying ads for different devices, for mobile or desktop or tablet or by browser width, now you have AMP and need to display ads differently on AMP sites. Of course, you always have ad blockers. That's only changing in a way that there are more and more browsers thinking about ad blockers enabled by default. So that's something. What I noticed over the last 10 years that I've been in the advertising business as a publisher, then as a developer, is that it's becoming tougher to make a living from ads. So in 2009, 2010, I put some advertisement somewhere on the website, and it was a very ugly layout of my website, not the ads. And I was making very good money. And it was just a fraction a few years later because of too many of everything, too many mobile devices, too many ad blockers, too many cheap advertisers, etc. And then we were able to keep up with constant testing of positioning, etc., making good and bad choices. Of course, we just tested everything. We did not do all this pop-up stuff that I really hate. And of course, a lot of people are probably hating, depending, of course, on the content. But if you have unrelated ads in them, then it's just annoying. So that's it. So it's really important in this area to constantly test new things, new technologies, be up to date, and that's what we are doing. Yeah, it's really a full-time job, just to keep up with stuff. Yeah, not even adding real features, but just keeping your eyes open for something that is happening, and hopefully be there before it gets to the market or becomes a problem whatsoever.
The impression that I get and how I felt about the ad serving tool space, I guess, is that it seems like it's a very easy space to enter, but an extremely hard one to excel in and remain competitive in. And maybe you would agree with that, but it seems like it's very easy to like start and develop something through which ads can be served. That concept is not terribly complicated and easy to get started with, but to actually excel and be competitive as a premium money-making tool in this space, that sounds extremely difficult due to the competition, due to the constantly changing ecosystem as you've just described, due to the fluctuations in demand for online advertising like this, all those reasons. It sounds like a hard space to play in permanently.
I don't think it's harder than SEO. So everything in SEO was also changing every year. You have something new, and it's simple to build a tool that has a meta title and a meta description field whatsoever. But then you really need to be up to date to see which features are still needed that maybe you implemented them 3 years ago, but now they are not really important anymore. And that's similar with us. So we sometimes have to deprecate features because they are not needed anymore. We need to keep in touch with Google directly to see what they are up to, what their priorities is. It affects our decisions, and it definitely helps that I've been doing this as a publisher for many years. I've seen so many ad network backends. I've seen different ad network codes. I know a bit how you can break them or how you can prevent them from breaking. So it's simple to enter the area, the field, just as a code placing tool, because that's what most advertisements are, just a JavaScript or an image, and that's it. But when you go into optimization, you need to be up to date and do a bit more. Like this cache busting, I'm very, very proud of our cache busting technology, because we found a way that it's not only just using an AJAX call and then loading everything dynamically, but we found something we are calling cache busting that is doing all this dynamically without an additional AJAX call, which is very good for many servers.
Right. Wow, that's powerful. Okay, so you've built a strong team that's working with you. What's your team look like right now?
So we are 6 employees and 2 freelancers. The employees are mostly here in the office in Germany. We did have a remote team with a website business, but that was something I couldn't work with. I like to have people around me who I can learn from, who can also motivate me. So now I'm very happy to have most of my team here. And 2 developers, support marketing guys, 1 for accounting, and me.
Wow, that's great. That's pretty exciting, and cool to get to work with them in person. Okay, so I'm curious since you have a business that is based essentially on top of a free plugin through the WordPress.org plugin directory, and that's an interesting place. Our business is largely based on a plugin distributed through there, so we know what this is like. But it is a weird ecosystem, and I'm curious kind of how you feel about it and how you feel like it could or should be improved in the future.
I've learned just in the last months that there are different teams on just WordPress.org alone, and a lot of them are doing a great job. So I'm now closer following the Slack channels, not all of them, of course, but for example, for the forum Slack channel, where they are discussing support threads, etc. They are not really discussing mostly plugin support, because that's to the author to answer. But it gives me a feeling of what the community is really about. And I really have to say they are doing a great job. I mean, there's a lot of frustration, especially now with Gutenberg going on, and they have to. They were not part of Gutenberg development, but now they get all this these angry, not support threads, but blog posts. Yeah, people ranting about Gutenberg, and they really try hard to help people, even if they are. Just want to express a negative feeling. Something I really have a respect for, and if I make a decision now that could affect how we do support on WordPress.org, or how we present our plugin, I really think about these guys. What is like, does it affect their job, etc. So that's something I learned. Then you have the plugin review team, other meta teams whatsoever. I see a lot of movement. I don't know if something changed, because I'm not involved or not following these channels for a long time. So I don't know if this, what I see now, people, going on and off is normal or not. There seems to be a lot of frustration now in the German community, based on something that actually Matt was replying on a question from a German support team member after the state of the word. I'm not completely understanding what it's about, but more or less like, expressing gratitude towards the community members that are, doing the daily course and doing support, doing translations whatsoever. I don't know how you can better support them, but there should be something to do about that, to keep people who are spending their free time on it, who are not making money indirectly, like working for a big WordPress company, like how to support these people, even if it's only mentally. I think that's an important backbone. That's also something why I chose WordPress in the first place, because there was so much. You had a great documentation even back then, 10 years ago. Someone wrote that. You had a lot of people writing about problems and solutions. So when I was struggling with problems with WordPress, I could always find the answer already, or ask somewhere. That's something I didn't see for other communities. And I think it's a backbone that we should really, how to say it in English, care about more, and try to not only motivate, but give something back to them as well.
Yeah. As someone who has a business built on top of this ecosystem, I'm curious a little how you feel about its stability and future, and like, your livelihood is based on top of this, and the livelihood of your team, and as well as I that a day could come where changes significantly affect your business, greatly empower your competitors, or make it extremely difficult for you to interact with your customers, or gauge your statistics, or distribute your plugin at all. That stuff is all a little bit outside of your control. And I'm curious, do you feel like this is a bit of an unstable, dangerous territory to work within, or do you feel very comfortable within, confident about the ability to adjust in the future as changes come?
Well, let's say like this: if I would start a WordPress plugin business again, I would not start it as a freemium model.
Okay.
Because I indeed see that it's comfortable. So back when I started the plugin, I was alone, and WordPress.org did take care of the marketing. So it's a marketing channel, and nowadays I feel like well, we are always monitoring it. We are looking for like how we are positioned. If we could optimize our README and do stuff whatsoever, then a lot of maintenance power goes into WordPress.org. I might even build things into the free plugin that I wouldn't build if it would be premium only. So taking all this into consideration, I think if I had focused all this time and also, of course, resources and money into a different marketing channel, then I might be as successful as today. So that's something, if I would start over with something else, yeah, I would not put a free plugin on WordPress.org.
Wow. Okay. Do you think that other people tuning into this, developing plugins and getting started with their business, would that be your advice to them across the board, or is there still a place for relying on the WordPress.org directory? Maybe you could help clear up like what role that plays going forward.
I think it applies to everyone, because when you put something on WordPress.org, it's people who are going there looking for a plugin, and not only WordPress.org directly, but also the plugin search in the backend. Well, you're just next to your competitor, yeah, or let's say a different plugin with a similar solution. If you have a different marketing channel that you have control over, maybe you are the one writing the blog post on your website, you know, that is positioned good in Google. You are, I don't know, the one mentioned in the podcast or whatsoever. So you have a better chance in somewhere else to be the solution instead of one of many solutions on WordPress.org. And of course, then it's a moderated place. You can always be pulled. You have no right to be on WordPress.org. I see a lot of developers in the Slack channel not really understanding it. Yeah, they think it's how to say? Yeah, you have a right to be there. Yeah, it's not a democracy. Yeah, and it's not criticism. It's a fact. Yeah, there are very few people who are gatekeepers on WordPress.org, so I guess I think they are very fair, etc. But it's still a risk. You know, you can, like, when you do SEO for Google only, then Google can also pull the plug. So that's something maybe that's counts for everything, every channel, that you just need to understand the risk. And I don't see a particular risk for advanced ads. I'm very okay now how it's like how we are positioned and everything, and I'm very okay with the guidelines, etc. But again, with the next project, I would, knowing now that how much resources I put into this freemium model itself, I would try a different model first.
How interesting. That fascinates me. It strikes me a little bit that the distinction could be one's susceptibility to that risk. And by that, I mean, if this is a side project, it can be quite different than the day it becomes a full-time business. And someone in that position, the latter position, where this is your livelihood, this is running your business, becomes very aware of the amount of risk involved. Whereas those of us maintaining a plugin on the side, maybe it earns us some money separately, just don't think about that risk quite so much. You know, so that's, I guess I probably feel the same way that you do, in that if this is an extremely important project that a business could be built on top of, then that risk of relying on an ecosystem one doesn't control may be too great. You on board with that line of thinking?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So it definitely changed. It was comfortable at the beginning, WordPress.org was nice. It was bringing in the first users and also then people converting into customers. But yeah, now I see, since I have payments running every month, I see the risk as well.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay. So we've
And
talked
really not the risk of WordPress.org. It's the risk of just having one marketing channel.
One marketing channel. Right. That's absolutely true. And it seems like this ecosystem is different than it was. Like 2014 when you released this, I guess it was still a little bit late, but back then, and especially before, it did seem like it was hard to find many solutions outside of the plugin directory.
Mm-hmm.
And now it seems like for the most part, we've kind of overcome that, where all kinds of us are running like perfectly viable businesses completely independent of that ecosystem. And that was hard in the early days, but now is quite normal, I think.
Yeah, WP Forms is the best example. I don't think they are successful because they have a good ranking on WordPress.org. I think they have a lot of other marketing channels. Of course, something they built before. They didn't start with WP Forms.
Right.
So they had a basis, but that shows that you can grow very quickly. Yeah. They are on WordPress.org, but I think they have they grew not because of that, but because of other channels.
True. Yeah, you're totally right. That's a great example. How about day to day? What sort of things do you get to do as the person steering this ship and running the company?
I am still heavily involved in support. Something I enjoy. I would only hope that you could do support when you want to and not when someone else wants to. But to be honest, I love working as a freelancer. I love to help people solving individual problems. I'm doing this still. I have also a colleague helping me with support. So I have like 1-2 hours a day in support, maybe. What else? I'm also coordinating most bug fixes and feature requests, even though I'm not developing them anymore myself only. But I'm still trying to see that it all gets together at one point, and that when to say yes and when to say no, because that's something you have to learn at one point. There's always something people want as a new feature. And saying no is definitely important, and it needs the knowledge about the whole vision and project, etc. And that's the core part, something that I'm doing every day. But then I'm writing more, trying to convert feature requests or questions from users or things that I discovered into articles, share them. I just hired a freelance writer first time. Looking forward to see his results. I haven't seen his texts yet. So I definitely want to go do more content marketing, which is actually a bit surprising that I didn't do it before, because that was the basis of my website business, my publishing business, that we did very good in SEO. And I neglected it a bit with advanced ads. Yeah, that's it. And then since I have all the colleagues around, I go from table to table if someone needs me, and I give feedback. Yeah. Go to lunch together. That's very nice.
That sounds really nice.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm jealous, frankly.
Yeah. That's really something I wouldn't like to miss. So we are in the city center. It's a small town, and we just go out, go for a coffee. We have a coffee shop here, where we always go get a coffee together and go for lunch and have our places. And we talk about work all the time, but it's because we like it, we enjoy it. We like to the people I have surrounded myself with also like to solve puzzles and problems, and brainstorming together is really cool, really important for me.
That's outstanding. Love to hear that. What town are you guys in?
It's called Greifswald. It's a student town. We have 60,000 inhabitants. It's a name you cannot pronounce if you're not in Germany. Yeah, it's next to the Baltic Sea in the north of Germany. Very relaxing. Yeah.
Wow, that's exciting. It's so cool. Are you guys going to head down to, because you must, since you're north, you would be heading down to Berlin for WordCamp Europe this year?
Yeah, definitely. So we went to a couple of WordCamp Europe. Then we didn't, because it didn't give us so much anymore. But of course, it's in Berlin. It's 2.5 hours away, and we are definitely going as a team. And now thinking about renting a place where we go to have a drink with a couple of friends that we invite. So something like that.
Yeah, that sounds great. I've never been to Europe, but we're talking about doing that for the first time this year. And WordCamp Europe seems quite inviting. Of course, Germany would be a great place to visit, I think.
Yeah, Berlin is definitely worth. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is it, since you hire locally and work as a team, what has your experience been like finding talent when you need to grow?
Hard. Yeah, I cannot compete with the wages in Berlin, for example. So I cannot offer someone who's working in an IT hub to move to this town. Yeah, the last hires I did when there was an opportunity. I found someone, for example, a coder who was looking for work, and I didn't really wanted to hire at this point, but I just did it, and it worked out very well. Yeah, you have to think out of the box as well. So teaching people who are not seem to be a good fit at first by their experience, but then grow into it. That was something that I did with the publishing business, because there's no one else here having a website with 1 million or more page impressions per day. So yeah, you either find people outside or you find people here and teach them a few things. And I did both. I found very good, talented people outside of my town, and we worked remotely, which was sometimes working, sometimes not. And the rest was working here, and yeah, they were self-taught. And yeah, but the best, like what I'm looking out for is when people had their own business before. They know the challenge. They can work independently. They showed that when they had their own business for a couple of years, or doing a side business. So I have someone who's still a freelance front-end developer, someone else having his own travel blogs, also monetizing them with ads. That's the kind of motivation that really is important for me in an employee.
Wow.
Yeah.
How interesting. Our time's running short, so I got just a couple.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It goes by fast. Just a few more wrap-up questions for you. I'm curious what other events or occasions somebody might bump into you at. Anything else in 2019 you intend to participate in?
My first idea was Wacken. Wacken is the biggest heavy metal festival in Germany, in the world, and it's happening in Germany.
Wow.
And it was sold out after 3 days, and I have a ticket. But it's yeah, you can run into me. I mean, I met someone with a WordPress T-shirt there last year.
No kidding.
But honestly, I was the second time in a row now visiting MicroConf Europe. There is a MicroConf US now in March, I guess.
Right. Right.
where I'm not attending, but MicroConf Europe is at least as good, and it's for entrepreneurs who build their own online business. It's really a great conference, especially the hallway track. So when you meet people in the evening or at breakfast, and yeah, I talked for 3 days and listened for 3 days. Yeah, it was so interesting. You meet people with not the same business, but still they have very similar experiences, and it was really inspiring, motivating, and I got a lot of got a lot out of it, more focus, etc. And then after a year, you go back and you get this again. So that's something I'm looking forward to. It's probably in October or November here.
Okay.
And they choose nice places, nice cities. So this year, last year was in King's Landing, at in Dubrovnik in Croatia. It was like, okay, cool. That was where they did all the King's Landing shoot, and cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, MicroConf is a great event.
And there are a couple of spin-offs now. So I just today received an invitation for from other attendees who are doing a hiking kind of MicroConf, where they rent a house together and they go hiking for most of the conference and then talk about stuff. So I have a different appointment that time, but it's something I would also go to.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that sounds neat. I love the idea of these kind of different alternative structures and more retreat-like experiences. Those can be very valuable. Okay, so another question. Do you have any good recommendations for people that I should have on the show in the future?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm following the forum Slack, the WordPress.org forum Slack, and I see a lot of people really working there day after day next to their main job, actually. And I would like to see those people being in the spotlight more if they want, yeah. But sharing more of the thing they are doing, and I following them don't know what they are like, how many hours they are spending every day and putting their own time into this. Yeah, I would definitely like to see them on the show. So I don't know. There's the one most popular. Okay, I wouldn't say popular, maybe too many, but very active for years now is Jan Dembowski. You probably know him. I don't know him personally. I only see his Slack messages. But there's also someone from Norway. I don't know his name now, who also developed the health check plugin. He, in my opinion, he now adds a different tone into the forum. Tone in the meaning of there's a lot of frustration now and around Gutenberg, I mean, and he's helping the other forum moderators to stay calm about people who are just repeating themselves and ranting about Gutenberg. And yeah, I think people like that are very, very important, as I mentioned, as the backbone for WordPress.
Wow. Great examples and spot on. Spot on. Yeah, I'll see what I can do to get him on the show. Now, this has been a great conversation, Thomas. I've really enjoyed learning a little bit about your business, your background, the cool story, the evolution of your products, and the team that you've got, and all that stuff. Super interesting stuff. So thank you for taking time out of the end of your day to chat with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I hope we can cross paths in person sometime before too long. Maybe this will be the year.
Yeah, let me know when you're in Europe, in Berlin, and we'll go for a drink.
That would be great. All right.